ちょっと変。ね、たくん、知ってるの？
え、何？
素敵なの、このもの。実は私が救ったの。この本を救ってた。
Alright, I think that's enough of that. I'm not going to make y'all look at my face this entire time. What I wanted to make this video for is to show you all this book that I made that I'm rather proud of, for this being the month of Mermay. Yeah, alright, so the month may be almost over, but I made it before the month ended, so I'm really happy about that much. Usually, pretty much always, I am running late with all things in life, so I actually got this in before the end of the month. Pachi 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 for me.
パチパチパチみんな。
You may notice as I'm browsing the Amazon page, this book came out a whole year ago. Oh my god. But I am still proud of it. It's been a full year, and we made it back around to Mermay. If you're not familiar with Mermay, it's a time of the year where a lot of artists who think they're real punny guys get together and draw a bunch of merfolk. Alright, so editor me chiming in here, and I just realized that there's a whole ass website dedicated to this, and that they have prompts and everything. I had absolutely zero idea that this existed, but it's a very cute website. I'm loving the super rough little animation that we've got here with the, like, pacing, sketch lines, and stuff. I wanted to check out some of these prompts because some of them are really funny. So, like, we have the toe beans one for one example. There's the kaiju always going to be there making a presence. Cowboy, I thought was kind of fun. Bridgerton as well. I enjoy that as a visual. Of course, fart is a standout knockout to me. I am literally like 12 years old inside. But some of these other ones are really fun. Like, a Zendaya merperson? Sure. So that's fun that exists. Coastal Grandma I thought was pretty fun too. But we're going to move into the actual drawing portion of this book where I created it and everything. I challenged myself to try and draw a different merperson for every day of the month. I did not get there because life happens. I was a full-time student, I was working, a lot of other things going on in life at that time, but I still managed to get enough done that I felt good putting it out as a book. And I'm going to show you some of the creations behind that so you can get an idea of like what's actually in there and what went into making them. So here we have the deep sea merperson that you can actually see on the cover in full color. I'm starting here because this is one of the few that I actually did a full color rendition of, even though at this stage it's going to look very tedious as I go in and hand draw each and every single scale after getting the tail kinks worked out. I can do things the easy way, but I don't. I do them the hard way. Not because there's anything inherently better about doing it the hard way, I'm just dumb and stubborn, I guess. So once I get into a groove, I just keep going with it, because I'd rather just go with the flow in the moment when my inspiration is doing something, than try to stop and do it smarter and figure out a whole process to do it that way. Part of what actually inspired me for this one was the book Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. I had just read it this summer, and it was a really interesting book. Apparently it was actually a sequel to a previous book, but I found that I didn't need to have read the previous book to actually get something out of reading this one. I'm a big lover of Mariana Trench and things that surround that. Deep sea horror is a big love, as is space horror, sci-fi. All of that is just my jam. Give me Cthulhu, give it to me deep, she said. Damn. As I said before, I am basically still a 12-year-old internally, so I apologize. I did not mean to go there, but here we are. Obviously, this being a mer person, and there are some mer people involved in the narrative. Spoilers, but not really, because I think most places pretty much bring that up as one of the first things about the book. I really enjoyed her portrayal of merfolk, and the way that she handled their interactions with humans was really fun and really gory. I have a couple of quotes from the book that I saved when I was reading it because I really enjoyed it and thought I might want to return to talk about it later. So here's one that I thought was really fun. As a big cryptid geek, you can check my previous video about my cryptid coloring book here. Who knew what lurked down there waiting to be discovered? Let deforestation do away with Bigfoot. Let sonar destroy Nessie, but the sea would always be deep, always be dark, always be filled with wonders. Every cryptid hunter he knew had turned their eyes towards the sea years ago. that was where the monsters might still be. Another thing about this book that I really thoroughly enjoyed is we not only get bi and non-binary representation, but we also actually get representation for the non-hearing or hearing impaired community, which is really cool. ASL actually comes up as a big point of the conversation in the narrative, and I think that's super cool. As a linguistics nerd, she covered things like the fact that ASL actually has its own form of grammar that is separate from spoken English, and the fact that hearing folk decided that we needed to stick our noses into the non-hearing communities and force them to try to speak like us, which didn't make sense for a community that already had a language that was functioning perfectly well for them. But I digress. Hell, there's even a reference to one of my all-time favorite episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. Like, that is such a great episode as a big linguistics nerd. Oh my god. So, obviously, I thoroughly enjoyed the book. It has like a 3.96 on Goodreads, so feel free to read it if you're into underwater horror. That was what inspired this kind of deep-sea merperson that I created, and that's why we ended up here. Coloring portion, I wanted to give them the kind of coloration that would make sense for something that lives in the deep ocean. So it would have like a darker over color so it would blend in from above, but also it might have like a lighter underbelly so that it would still blend in from below. This is something that I've seen explained on nature shows, I think. I don't know. Then I just kind of had fun with playing with different colors and the shading. I don't do a lot of coloring or rendering. I prefer to do the line art, which is why I like doing a lot of comics and doing a lot of like manga, black and white, screen tone coloring books. These things all cater to my interest in being lazy and not dealing with color. From there, we have moved on into my person that I like to lovingly refer to as my ikabito. It's the squid person, as you may have guessed from their appearance. So from here, I'm just adding a bunch of the little suckers onto their tentacles to give them a little more detail, and then we're moving into adding some wavy goodness into the background. I wanted to kind of create that feeling or that look of the light dappling in the ocean. I think one of my favorite things about the ikabito or squid person is you can't really tell how big they are, so it leaves room for them to be giant. From there, we move into the Selkie, and if you're not familiar with Selkie, they are a Scottish cryptid or folklore or creature of lore. Their whole thing is that they can be both seals or just incredibly attractive, alluring human beings. And because they are so incredibly attractive and alluring, they have a tendency to be kidnapped or held hostage by humans who will steal their pelt, preventing them from being able to return to the ocean waves from whence they came, causing the Selkie tremendous internal suffering, a longing to return to their home that the human is denying them, and at the first given opportunity, they do have a tendency to escape back into the ocean. Which, I mean, yeah, who wouldn't? They're basically being Selkie trafficked. That's not cool. And then I threw in a couple of little penguin friends for our sweet Selkie to keep her company so she doesn't get lonely on her little ice floe where she's hanging out. Love her. Made some stickers of her. She is great. And then next up, our next contender entering the ring is our eel person, who is long and spindly and spiny and has a very toothy grin. And I just really like how long and kind of snaking I made their tail in this. I went a little simpler because eels tend to be a little smoother. They don't really have like the scaling that would be a part of the overly detailed design that I might otherwise do. I used some referencing for the seaweed, but I got lazy and didn't want to have to redraw it all, so that one was actually fairly quick, thankfully for my sanity. And then the last design that I'm going to show you from the book, this little back behind the scenes preview that I'm giving you here, is my anglerfish person. I have been a big fan of anglerfish. They are creepy. They are a deep sea nightmare. As I said before, deep sea shit's my jam. I love it. So anglerfish was just kind of a given, had to happen. So I hope you've enjoyed this little sneaky peeky behind the scenes, and now for the outtakes.
Ta-kun。何やってるの？泳げますよー。みんな、チューしますよー。皆さん、チューしませんだよ。すみません。このたっくんはちょっと変だろね。実は私も本当変だろね。あ、ど、どっちも変だろな。
If you're still here, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!